Well, hello there again. Um, Here it is, roughly about 2 weeks before the 2024 election. This video will likely never really get any traction, and that's okay. But if it does, for those of you that this particular video reaches, I want you to consider something here. And I'm just laying out things that were said, things that were done, and things that have happened. Okay? This is not meant to be a for or against type video. This is just a here's where things are at. All right? You have currently two candidates. You have Donald Trump and you have Kamala Harris. Now, I'll start with Kamala Harris. This woman has repeatedly, throughout her time as vice president, bragged about the number of policies and things that she had helped pass through the Senate, and definitely made it very clear that she has some level and some degree of power. She's not just a token character. She does have some level of power. We take this same person who also admittedly stated that she would not change anything over the last 4 years that her and Joe Biden have done. This same person has stated and pledged that there's the inflation issue that she's going to fix. There is the border issue. There is the, you name it, she's mentioned it. Now, some of her statements I can concede are very legitimate and perhaps need to be looked into. I personally don't feel like there's a lot, but that's beside the point. So, honestly, objectively speaking, from that perspective, why isn't she doing that now? She's had all this time. She's had 3+ years, 4 almost, to address these concerns, and she chooses not to. Okay? Keep that in mind. On the other hand, you have Donald Trump. Now, his infamy is very well known. I myself was very, very much opposed to him in 2016. I saw all the accusations. I saw the claims of Russian collusion. I saw the claims of money laundering. I saw the claims of extortion and you name it. It was all out there. And then I saw, over the course of the next 3+ years of these accusations and everything being laid, well, come to find out, the Steele dossier, which was the foundation dossier behind the Russian collusion claim, turns out that was fabricated and paid for by the Hillary Clinton campaign. I had to dig into this one. Somebody challenged me on this, and they wanted me to look at those claims and accusations that were being made. Between the Mueller report, between the special counsel report, it was a really, really big fancy word salad to say, basically in layman's terms, yes, we investigated this. We cannot conclusively determine whether or not he's actually guilty of anything here, because we can't find anything. Now, it could be that he hid, or he did things in such a way that made it look like it was hidden, whatever dealings that he did. But I also want to argue, and I want you to bring into consideration that it was the Clinton campaign that accepted bribes by the Russian government. It was the Clinton campaign that paid for the Steele dossier to be fabricated. Ironically, about the same time that her email scandal and the private server was gaining some real traction and heat. So we have that. Then we have the Stormy Daniels accusations. Now, I am not here to say that that definitively happened or that didn't definitively happen. But I am here to say that there seems to be a lot of funny business that happened in that accusation, including the prosecuting team not really showing the information or sharing it with the defense that they're supposed to be and legally bound to do. They disregarded evidence that would have essentially complicated the case or exonerated Donald Trump. The letter, which could have been signed under duress, but the thing is that they both have made it very clear that such a relationship never happened. And it wasn't until about 2016 that Stormy Daniels changed her tune. And even then, she claimed at that time, I think it was on a Bill Maher skit where he asked her point blank, it's like, well, why did you go with this guy? And she's just like, I don't know. And then she claimed that she wasn't part of the Me Too movement. And that it was very cordial, it was very this, that, and the other, what have you. And then all of a sudden she changes her tune again. Here, now that we're heating up towards the 2024 election, about, end of 2023, claiming that he had essentially forced himself on her. So we've had 3 different narratives of this particular situation happening, which leads credibility towards whether or not that particular event took place. E. Jean Carroll, again, no hard proof or evidence from what I've been able to find, just an accusation that was levied. And being upheld by a court. Then comes the 34 counts. Now, these 34 counts, or 34 or 38, these 34 to 38 counts, none of them in and of themselves are actually considered crimes in the traditional sense. Meaning that they are not of a capital offense, they are not of a really anything that would be more severe than perhaps a misdemeanor charge. But ironically, the laws of the state that they were had in were altered, were made to be more severe solely for the strict purpose of trying to get the guy. You take a look at the legal history behind it, and I'm no legal expert, but you take a look at the legal history of how these particular types of crimes were, or misdemeanors or what have you, were charged in the past, and it doesn't line up with what they did here. So when you look at the MAGA crowd and you scream at them, 38 counts of breaking the law. Oh, he's been charged and he's been convicted. Oh, he's been this. Oh, he's been that. Take a few minutes to consider that the reasoning behind that may not necessarily be 100% legit. Now, here's the other aspect that we're looking at here. We have been told time and again, I just lost my train of thought. We have been told time and again how much of a horrible person Trump will be. Oh, he'll be a dictator. Oh, he'll be this. Oh, he'll be that. Thing is he had the power to do that during his first term and he didn't. Now, we take a look at what happened during his administration. Now, I'll be the first to admit he wasn't perfect. There are some things that I wanted him to do that he never did. But there's also a lot of things that I saw that he did do that I don't think anybody else had the nerve to do. One of which is to try and put some kind of a stop on how much the money was spent, or how much money was spent from our own federal government. Now, the executive branch, which is what the president has, does not have control over the financial state of things. Not in a direct sense. He cannot choose directly, or she, if we ever end up getting a female president, cannot choose directly what happens with what money where. That is a power strictly held within the House, as they have what's called the power of the purse. But a president can veto various bills. And Trump did try. He did try. Ironically, he did try. Now, national debt definitely did swell underneath his presidency. That's true. But I also saw the long-term effects of what his policies could have instilled had they been maintained. And I think, and this is just my personal perspective, I think long-term it would have paid out dividends and eventually seen that debt go down. We know from the actions of Putin, Mao, Stalin, Hitler even. If you're a student of history, I wouldn't say that I'm an avid student, but I'm at least aware enough to see the similarities. We know that those who are intent to maintain and hold power will often manipulate laws or fabricate or even exploit various legal claims or criminal claims against their opponents in order to maintain and keep power. Now, the argument that Trump is being targeted, politically prosecuted, what have you, given how the laws have shaped up around him, what they're trying to charge him for, that honestly genuinely becomes bunk the more you dig into it. And I mean really dig into it. I'm not just talking about reading headlines. I'm not just talking about looking at the word salad of various articles. I'm talking about looking for the actual hard proof, the facts behind what happened. The more you dig into it, the more you look into it, the more that the narrative of him being this horrible, evil person really doesn't hold up in the grand scheme of things. Now, there's some merit to it. There's definitely some oddities that I still look at and say, what the hell is this about? So I'm not saying he's completely innocent in anything. I'm just saying that they don't have enough to really genuinely stick the guy with anything. Given the hard points of fact, I'd also add that with Kamala Harris, if you want to talk about somebody who's broken the law, this woman has stated flat out as California's AG that she did withhold evidence that saw an innocent man convicted. Several, in fact. She did mention she had the power to liberate or ruin a person's life at the stroke of a pen. She also, including her affair partner at the time, got to where she was through a hand up, basically. So even though she has the credentials, according to what's been stated about her, I have yet to see her not abuse that power for her own personal ends or the ends of those who want her to succeed. So given all of that, and that our own government, according to many people, has essentially become the enemy of the people, it wouldn't be uncommon for a person who wants things to be better, that chooses to stand up against the status quo, to be labeled as this heinous criminal. It happened with our founding fathers. It's happened with anybody who stood up against tyranny. It's all been there. Now, this video might be seen by people, well after the election is over. And I do hope we get the better candidate. I definitely have my fingers crossed for my candidate of choice, but then again, I also understand that there are people across the fence. So whatever happens, I want you to consider what I've been talking about in this video. Hopefully the truth has come out at some point in time regarding these two, and we can actually get a better and more accurate description of either. But I want you to take note of who is who and what's what. And I've let this video ramble on enough. Bye.